Soldiers fight for our rights, but in a way, they also fight for their own. By that, I mean the right to fire a loud cannon at a football game. Nothing wrong with that in my book. Kaycee versus Meeteetse in the six-man state championship game. First quarter, Meeteetse wearing the white, knocking on the door, and they had problems getting in. They fumble at the 3. Taylor Rouse recovers, and Kaycee dodged an early bullet. No points off of that turnover, but after an interception at the Meeteetse 9, they would cash in. Rouse, 1 yard, 6 points, and the Buckaroos are on the board up 6-0. On the first play after the kickoff, the Longhorns would answer. Dalton Abar is going to uncork one, and watch the catch by Carter Johnson. The senior has some hands, 56 yards. For the game, Abar was 4-6 passing for 101 yards and 2 scores. Johnson had better numbers, which I'll tell you later. The score is tied at 6. The boys in blue were having success on the ground. Rouse again from 4 yards. He had 115 yards total rushing in the game. This touchdown would make the score 13-6 after the first 10 minutes. Second quarter, first play, Abar goes to the air and finds one-on-one coverage. He finds Johnson again, 14 yards away. Unfortunately, Abar would get hurt later on and did not return. That was a huge loss. Meeteetse now trails by 1. It's 13-12. Later, Kaycee is back on the attack. Rouse thought about throwing, then he said, I'll just take care of this by myself. 56 yards to the house. His team was starting to find their stride and now lead 19-12. If the Longhorns wanted to finish the season undefeated, they would need to make some plays on defense. Josh Grable comes in untouched and gets the sack. He was the leading tackler with 15, so they had something going for them. The defense on both sides would take over this game for a while. Johnson cuts in front of the pass, and he has himself an interception. That tackle hurt a bit, but he would eventually return to the game. So can his teammates on offense do anything with the gift? Yes, they gave it right back. Bad hands on the snap. Atticus Garrett dives on the loose ball, and the Buckaroos were in business inside the red zone. Next play, Johnson would come through again for the Longhorns. Watch as he goes after the ball on the tackle. He would eventually rip it loose and ends up with the recovery. He was doing it all on both sides of the ball, and if you do not believe me, watch the next play. Here it is. Johnson will take the pitch. We lost him for a brief moment. Here he comes, and there he goes. 60 yards to the promised land. However, Meeteetse was having problems with the PATs, and that's why they are still down 19-18. Now this next play is a bit sudden. We lost the ball, then found it at the last second. Right as Mark Largent intercepts the pass, he just had to juke one tackler, which he does, and there was no one left to stop him. A 60-yard pick six. That would open up a little breathing room for the boys in blue, and they were up 26-18 going into the locker room. Third quarter, more from the running game. Danny Ramirez, once he got around the line, he would have a thin lane to run through. Watch the footwork as he stays inbounds and scores on a 32-yard run. Kaycee was starting to build some momentum with a 32-18 advantage. The Longhorns at times were their own worst enemy. Something went wrong on the snap. That was one of 7 turnovers in the game. Rouse recovers again, and his squad is back in business. Time for the Buckaroos to cash in, and they will. Here's Hayden Fauber finding a hole, running through it, and he will score from 14 yards. Things are starting to look promising for one team because now it's 39-18. The opposition would botch the snap on a punt, and this time Kaycee would give the passing game a try. Hunter Rouse rolls out, completes a throw to Fauber, and watch the senior fight his way into the end zone. 6-man players can do what the 11-man guys can do as well. 11 hard-earned yards for a score. It was 45-18 going into the final 10 minutes. Fourth quarter, Meeteetse was in trouble and needed to do something, but this play was a disaster. Adam Poole was trying to avoid the sack, and he should have eaten the ball because he threw it right into the hands of Taylor Rouse, and he is gone. 70 yards, see ya. Kaycee was in control. It's now a 51-18 ball game. The Longhorns realized they needed to go to the playmaker. That would be Johnson. He had 192 receiving yards on top of 117 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns total, but his boys need a lot more. They are down 51-24. They did not quit, although the deficit was insurmountable. Poole was doing the throwing duties. This ended up being a 62-yard catch and run for a touchdown. The previous score was 34 yards. Meeteetse trails 51-32, but they could do no more after that. The last time Kaycee played in Laramie was in their inaugural season back in 2009. This time, though, they would finish the job and win their first state title ever. Final score 51-32, as the Buckaroos would finish the season with a record of 10-1.